Keep it cool. Keep it cool. All right, first I would like to say, if you don't know by now, if you haven't heard, yes, I am a black man. And yes, I too have questions about Kamala Harris. But no, I'm not misogynistic. And no, it does not mean that I'm voting for Trump. It just means I need some answers. And, you know, Barack Obama calling himself, you know, putting his 2 cents in this whole ordeal about, you know, the poll numbers and percentage of black men slowly migrating over to Trump this election, which has been happening in the last few elections. You know, that shit that he had to say. If y'all haven't seen the clip, I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip for y'all, and we'll go from there.
Part of it makes me think that, well, you just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. And so now you're thinking about sitting out or even supporting somebody who has a history of denigrating you because you think that's a sign of strength, because that's what being a man is? Putting women down? That's not acceptable.
All right, so when it comes to me, I'm dead set in the middle, independent. And I feel like I think I've come to the conclusion that I'm going to sit this one out. And it's because I am not going to vote for Trump, and I don't know who the hell Kamala Harris is. I mean, she can't answer a question, and I don't know what she stands for. Like, let's just say over the years, you know, how things have changed. You know, fracking, you know, the decriminalizing illegal immigrants. And let's just talk about, you know, one of the most important things when it comes to my community, reparations.
Well, listen, again, we had over 200 years of slavery. We had Jim Crow for almost a century. We had legalized discrimination, segregation, and now we have segregation and discrimination that is not legal but still exists and is a barrier to progress. We have disparities around housing. We have disparities around education. We have disparities around income. And we have to recognize that everybody did not start out on an equal footing in this country. And in particular, black people have not. And so we have got to recognize that and do something about that and give folks a lift up. That's why, for example, I'm proposing the LIFT Act. Give people who are making $100,000 or less as a family a tax credit, which will benefit and uplift 60% of black families who are in poverty.
So by default, it affects black families, but there's not a particular policy for African Americans that you would explore.
But no, if you look at the reality of who will benefit from certain policies, when you take into account that they're not starting at the same place and they're not starting on equal footing, it will directly benefit black children, black families, black homeowners, because the disparities are so significant. So if we focus on the specific issues that have resulted in the greatest disparities, and we understand that that's part of why we're doing it. Listen, the reality also is this: any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No, because whatever benefits that black family will benefit that community and society as a whole and the country. Right?
If you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that bill.
We need to speak truth about the generational impact of our history in terms of the generational impact of slavery, the generational impact of redlining, of Jim Crow law. I could go on and on and on. Frankly, I think that we, and part of that is studying it to figure out exactly what we need to do. But part of what we can do right now is, for example, what I'm talking about in terms of building an opportunity economy.
Should black people get reparations?
I think there has to be some form of reparations, and we can discuss what that is.
Now, so for those who may say, "Oh, what do you mean you don't know Kamala Harris?" Well, I mean, okay, yes, I know her name, and I knew, she grew up in the middle class. Her mother saved up to buy a house in her teens, for her and her sister, yada, 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 yada.
I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother was hardworking. She raised me and my sister Maya. She saved up, and it was only by the time I was a teenager that she could afford to actually buy her first home. I grew up a middle-class kid. My mother raised my sister and me. She worked very hard. She was able to finally save up enough money to buy our first house when I was a teenager.
I know you say that your values have not changed, so then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. I was raised by a hardworking mother who saved up, and by the time I was a teenager, she was able to afford to buy our first home. And I've been very clear about that position. In terms of my immediate plan, I will tell you a few of the following. One, as it relates to the economy, which is a lot of what you have addressed. Look, I grew up in the middle class. My mother, worked hard, raised me and my sister, and by the time I was in high school, she was able to afford our first home. I know what it means for an individual and a family to have home ownership.
And, part of the reason why I say, I don't know what she stands for, I don't know who she is because she just can't answer a damn question. She cannot answer a straight up question. Like, she was asked about Barack Obama's comments, his little lecture that he called himself, giving to black people. And this is what she had to say. I would call it an answer. I'll let you decide. Here you go. What do you think about this?
Do you think that what President Obama said was the right thing to say?
Let me tell you, I am very proud to have the support of President Obama and that he is out traveling to talk with voters about what is at stake in this election. I'm very proud to have his support. What is also important is, one, to understand, like as I said, I intend to earn the vote of everyone, including black men. Two, pay attention to everything that President Obama talked about, because he also talked about, at length, the danger of Donald Trump. The danger of Donald Trump in terms of somebody who has said that they would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies, somebody who has referred to black immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, legal immigrants, as though they would eat their pets, constantly perpetuating tropes. Remember, Donald Trump, who said in Charlottesville, there are good people on each side.
So now let's stick with Obama for a second, right? Obama has had a history of rubbing our black leaders the wrong way with how he speaks down on black people. Jesse Jackson was one of them, right? He had a hot mic moment on national television talking about how he wanted to cut his nuts off. And all they played was that one part, how, they made it seem like Jesse Jackson was hating on him, right? And I'm not a big fan of Jesse Jackson, but in this particular segment, they just chopped it to where he was like, it just made him look like he was a hater, right? I just want to chop his nuts off. But supposedly, Jesse Jackson was fed up with how he talked down on black people. Let's play this clip in case you didn't forget, in case you didn't see it.
On Sunday, Jackson had just completed an interview with the Fox News channel and made the following comment, he says, in reaction to a recent Obama speech on the morals and responsibilities of African American men.
And I don't know if you guys have heard of Tavis Smiley. Now, I rock with Tavis Smiley. And on his radio show, he did a whole segment about 10 reasons why I am not surprised about Barack Obama's lecture to black men. I'm going to play you a couple of them. You let me know how you feel about it, okay? But I strongly suggest you guys look up Tavis Smiley's, 10 reasons why he's not surprised about Barack Obama's lecture. because he went deep and he went in on Barack Obama. But here's a few of them right here.
Jesse Jackson Sr. tried to clue us 16 years ago. Y'all got caught up on his comment wanting to cut off Obama's private parts. Remember that hot mic moment with Jesse Jackson? Well, what Reverend Jackson said way back then was that Obama had a way of talking down to black folk, and Jackson could not abide it. Every time Obama does it, it makes me want to cut off his you-know-what. That is the entire frame of what Jesse Jackson said. Was it elegant? No. Was it accurate? Well, you decide. If you were surprised by Barack Obama's comments last week, I can tell you who was more surprised. Care to guess? Barack Obama. I know he is still scratching his head. I've been talking down to these Negroes for 15 years. Now they're going to act all brand new like they don't know me? Help me, Holy Ghost. No, y'all know who I am. I'm the one who at the Congressional Black Caucus dinner told y'all to stop whining, stop crying, stop complaining, take off your slippers and go do something. I'm the same one who admonished black men during my commencement address at Dr. King's alma mater, Morehouse College. Somebody rescue me if I'm wrong. I'm the same one who gave black men the business at a black church on the south side of Chicago, wait for it, on Father's Day. Y'all know who I am. I'm the one who sang Amazing Grace in South Carolina. I'm the one who broke y'all off some Al Green at the Apollo in Harlem. Now you acting all funny style. Y'all Negroes know me. I'm the one who told you repeatedly, I am not the president of Black America. I'm the president of all America.
And after we have achieved historic turnout in 2008 and 2012, especially in the African American community, I will consider it a personal insult, an insult to my legacy, if this community lets down its guard and fails to activate itself in this election.
Now, just skimming through Instagram, I ran across another clip. It was CNN panelists, Van Jones and Eric Dyson, Professor Eric Dyson. They were asked about, how they feel about the backlash that Barack Obama has been getting from this lecture, right? And you won't be surprised by one's reaction, the crybaby, the coon crier, what I call him, Van Jones. And then you got Eric Dyson, who had a rebuttal to what he had to say. Watch this.
What do you think of Obama's message, and how did you interpret it?
Well, first of all, I love Barack Obama, and we need Barack Obama. We have very few people like him on Earth. Household name on 6 continents, beloved by people of every kind. When he steps onto the field, the stakes are very high. Black men are hurting. We don't feel appreciated. We don't feel that, those of us who are looking forward to bringing our daughters to vote for a sister are even being talked about. We don't feel that the 80 to 85% of us who are going to vote for Kamala Harris are being given our flowers. And when the most beloved brother in the world steps on the stage, we want him to speak for us. We want him to love us. When he starts speaking to our hearts and our souls and reminding people that all of us are trying to be Barack Obama, that's who we're trying to be. We're trying to get there. We're trying to be the best at whatever we're doing, like he has been the best. That's his best and highest use. But do not throw Barack Obama under the bus. I don't think Neil Malika was doing that at all. But do not pile on and throw him under the bus, because we don't have another one. He is the most beloved brother on earth.
I think Van is right in terms of Barack Obama. It's not that we should throw him under the bus, because people can contend he threw us under the bus, right? So there's always an imbalance. Barack Obama has the rhetorical freedom to exercise his own legitimate viewpoint with however much discretion he lacks or brings to the table. But when there's a response to him, there's a knee-jerk reaction about we must protect that one man. One man's journey can never exhaust or overcome the collective of Black people. And as precious as Barack Obama is, as Martin Luther King Jr. is, as Ida B. Wells Barnett is, no individual is greater than the collective. It is Black like we, not Black like me. And in that context, if Barack Obama were to take it another step and speak to white voters and say, you know, you who are voting for Donald Trump understand the implicit white supremacy. You tried to excuse yourself as an exception that you can take his economic policies and do away with his bigotry at the same time when you know they are together. If Barack Obama ever had the courage, the ability to articulate to the American public with gentleness and yet swiftness and firmness that what they're doing is problematic, then black people could take the behind whipping that he might give.
I have never in my life heard anyone refer to Barack Obama the way that Van Jones referred to him. It's like I just, a lot of times when I see Van Jones, I just keep scrolling because just mentioning his name makes me feel disgusted. I mean, just completely disgusted. And shout out to Nina Turner, man, because this woman here, former senator of Ohio, man, she's one of the very, very, very few politicians or former politicians that I rock with. She's probably the only one, for me to be honest with you. But she has been holding us down, black men, for a long time. She has been speaking up on our behalf. She has been saying how the Democratic Party has let down the black man and talking about how black women should not be accepting anything from the Democratic Party until they start showing and paying respect to black men. And here's a little bit of what she had to say about, you know, all of this. And she's been saying, speaking up, like I said, she's been speaking up for black men for years. But here's a little clip of what she had to say.
Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women. And what, as a politician, we should be trying to get all voters to vote. And hopefully there are a few good men out there who do care about the stripping away of some of women's bodily autonomy. But this is wrong for President Obama. It is a wrong course for the Harris-Walz campaign to lay at the feet of black men when they have their reasons. In 2020, the vice president was labeled a cop, as we know.
But do you think, sorry to interrupt you, Nina, but do you think he's right? That some of the one of the reasons is because they don't like the idea of a woman.
It might be some listen, black men are socialized in the same society as any other man. So yes, is misogyny maybe a part of it? But again, is President Obama and is the Harris-Walz campaign going to lecture other male groups in the same way that they're lecturing
This is not just about...
I don't think so.
Now, like I said, for as far as how I feel about it, I was only offended by what Barack Obama had to say. Number one, I know this may turn a lot of people off, but let's get some things straight, right? We have to start acknowledging and getting things straight in this country when it comes to the black community. All skin folk ain't kinfolk. Have you ever heard that before? Okay. Barack Obama is not a foundational black American. His father is Nigerian. His mother is white. He was born in Hawaii, or he was raised in Hawaii. Then he moved here. Then he moved there. He has no ties ancestrally to this country. He is a first generation, African American, should we say, right? And I think that's the important piece right there, because we don't necessarily need African Americans trying to talk to foundational black Americans and try to get them in line, right? You don't share the same history as we do. I'll take Elon Musk for an example, and I shared this with my wife. Elon Musk is South African. He was born in South Africa. I'm quite sure he has a citizenship for America. Guess what he is? African American. When you look at Elon Musk, you don't see no black man. But technically, and by all rights, he is an African American. Well, what are we talking about here? Right? foundational black American. Nobody is going to talk about Elon Musk and say, yeah, you know, he started his business from the ground up. He's one of the richest black men in the world. Ain't nobody talking about Elon Musk like that. But he is African American. But don't get it twisted. He ain't one of us. Barack Obama is not one of us. I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry, gentlemen. You might as well go ahead and take him off of that wall beside a picture of your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and John F. Kennedy and Martin Luther King, however y'all got your shit set up on your wall, because he's not one of us, and he has been showing that. His 8 years of presidency, what has he given us? What has he done for us? And before you utter a word, I'll just say this. Why are we still having the same conversations as a community that our ancestors was having after Jim Crow, during Jim Crow, before Jim Crow? Why are we having the same conversations? If these politicians are actually really doing anything for our community specifically, we wouldn't be having these same conversations. We wouldn't. We wouldn't. We wouldn't be where we are right now when it comes to the Democratic Party. It wouldn't be a divide. It wouldn't be so much division when it comes to elections like it is right now if the Democrats were doing right by the black community. And I ain't talking about African Americans. If you are a foundational black American, if your ancestry goes back to at least Jim Crow and further, you are a foundational black American. You're not African American. Because guess what? Somebody from Kenya, Nigeria, wherever in the continent of Africa, move over here, get their citizenship. What do you think they're labeled as? What do you think they're called? What do you think they're registered as? African American. That's right. So I don't need no African American telling me who I need to vote for and why I need to vote for them because they supposedly look like me. I'm done with identity politics, and so should you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, man. I hope you learned something from it. For those who still have questions about this election, especially the black men, hey, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. Vote your interests. If you don't see anything on that ballot that represents any of your interests, you have the right to sit on your vote, man. Your ancestors fought and died for your right to vote. And that right is when you see something on that ballot, or if you don't, you have the right to either cast your vote or sit on it. Peace.
The forgotten party. My fellow citizens. It is strong. It's my duty to report the true problems of our nation.
Vigorously developed, this resource will be of great benefit.
Where diverse nations are drawn together in common cause.
I will be eternally grateful for your support.